On this Make It Once video, tips on a tight and efficient coolant system that I know nothing about. In previous videos, I pointed out that Marty's been wearing a party hat, and I told you that I saved it from the dump on our city's spring cleanup day, but now I'm going to show you why I actually grabbed it and stuck it on top of Marty. And again, this is what we're looking at, so it's going to be a mess. All that stuff that was in there. Didn't think to check to make sure that this pink pool is actually watertight, but it looks like it's holding the water okay. And what's coming out now is very clear, so I'll get the hose and flush some of this stuff out and see if I can clear it up, fill it up with water. So while the bottom drains, I'm gonna get this top hose coming off here. Let's see what kind of damage we got here. So it's not too bad in there, a little crusty. So I'm gonna put on the top hose. I got this replacement part, the Uro brand. It's supposed to be a terrible brand, but this one in particular seems to be okay. There's certain like thicknesses and makes that fail a lot, but this is okay for now. It's cheap, it's all available. I'm gonna mount it this way with a little bit of Glide silicone so it doesn't get stuck anymore, so it goes on with the new stainless hose clamp, and then that way I can kind of get some water flushing in there and it's not going to spill all over the place. And then when I'm ready to go, again take the thermostat out, reseal it, and then I can kind of fill it up and flush and fill it up and flush until it comes out kind of clear. I can get some of this rust out of the radiator. It should make it a little bit more efficient. So here's my thermostat, as I suspected, just covered in rust. The seal is crusty and may have torn. So I'll spend a minute to clean this out a bit. So if I spray down into the water pump here, that comes out really clear. It doesn't really mean anything because I need the water pump to push it into the engine block. So here's the bottom hose, if you can look in there. It's kind of rusty. It's not too bad. Could probably just clean that out and reuse it if I needed to. And the one that I got to replace it is this new old stock Volvo brand. It's not even the same size or the same shape, so I'm not really sure what's going to go in here, but I think I'm just gonna clear this one out, put on some new hose clamps, and reuse it until I can find the correct one. So I ran into a problem. I was cleaning this out and kind of poked some of the calcium off and the buildup and soaked it in some decalcifier, and take a look at that. I looked around online to see if I can find places that sold this. There aren't too many places that sell it. I did find that because it was on a 240, it's considered a classic Volvo part, so the dealers can track them down. but I made a mistake of ordering one from a local Volvo dealer, and they didn't have it on the shelf, so they had to track it down. So it's taking much longer to ship to me than I thought. So until that actually comes, I'm going to just JB weld that little spot. And it's not a permanent fix. It's not a good fix by any means, but it should get the water sealed in there, so I can at least do a little bit of a flush and move on. The JB weld set, so I'm just going to put this in place. The epoxy should hold it as long as I'm not running the engine a long time until I get the new one. Apparently once an aluminum part fails, it really fails. So I think this thing is just so corroded that it just failed in multiple spots. I put it down, tightened this down a little bit, and I heard a little bit of a crack sound. And take a look. It just cracks right through, so it's failed. I think it just was so corroded that there's multiple points. There's no saving it anymore. So I'm gonna have to wait for the new part. Trying to figure out why the outlet pipe cracked, and I think what happened is that the seal didn't actually fit in the little casing ridge here. So it kind of twisted, kind of created some lever and just cracked it. Like I said, I didn't wrench it down too tight, but I think if something like that is off, it's just not going to work. To recap what happened, part user error, part just cruddy old part. So I had put on the seal that came with the thermostat, and it was 1/8 of an inch too large and got jammed under the outlet pipe. So when I put a little bit of pressure on the bolts, it cracked the old crusty one. And per standard, I had totally forgot, because it's been sitting there. I had ordered the correct size, and so I could have averted the whole problem. But anyway, it was old and crusty anyway, so I had to wait. Ordered the new outlet pipe, 419333, and of course nothing's going to be easy. If we can zoom in here, hopefully you can see that. I don't know if it focuses, but the whole seal is just rusty and not smooth. I don't think that the thermostat seal actually has enough play to fill in those gaps. So I'm going to dry it off and put some sandpaper to it. See if I can just smooth it out so that I can actually get a seal. So I'm just gonna glue a piece of sandpaper to this piece of block of wood so it's nice and flat. So I'm just gonna kind of take my time and see if I can get all those lumps out. Just took a couple minutes of sanding, and you can see I just got right through all that. There's one little spot here that's a little bit low, but I'm pretty sure the gasket can get rid of that. One little trick here is that whenever you have stuff floating in liquid, if you get a dry paper towel, you dimp it really quick, it actually will pull all the stuff that's floating off the surface. So you can get all that dust out of there. So I think I'm just going to clean up one more time and then put everything back together. So I'm going to put this there. Going to put a little sill glide here. So the moment of truth, I'm going to fill this up, and I'm just going to put some coolant in it. I'm not going to put the flush in yet. I want to get it protected from rust while I kind of work on getting it started. If it takes me longer to get started, I don't want to have to deal with getting rid of the flush fluid. So I'm just going to kind of get this topped off. So this is concentrate, and I already have half filled with water. So that's definitely above the hose. I don't see coolant coming out anywhere. I think that's repaired. Coolant in place, cylinder walls lubricated, oil in the system. I've hooked up the battery. I'm just going to crank it without fuel for a minute or a second and see what happens. Sounds healthy. I think the battery needs to be charged up again. And that was a good test. The fuel filter's full of fuel, so I do have to empty out the fuel. Don't see anything leaking. All right. Now to take care of the fuel system.